I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Now, about every week or two, I get one of these notices in my mailbox, and it's a rezoning application open house that the city will send out to homeowners in the neighborhood that you can show up at the Coast Plaza Hotel or whatever hotel, and they'll have a little hearing on a proposed development. Now, these things usually always get pushed through. The NIMBYs can show up, not in my backyard, people, but they've usually already made up their decision to grant the permits for these new developments. Now, what I can tell you is that, and I blogged about this a little earlier, I'm seeing a huge wave in new developments, high-rise towers that are going to be going up in Vancouver over the next 5 years. I can think of in the West End, which they're really going to be pushing a lot of new towers into. I know of about at least 7 or 8 32, 33 to 45 story towers that are now approved, have been approved over the summer here for the West End. And they'll probably start construction on these in mid-2018, late 2018, and completion on these will be, 2021 in that area. So you're going to see a huge transformation in places like the West End, Cole Harbour. There's also a lot of new, taller towers getting ready to get approved that they'll start construction on in the next 18 months or so as well. So the skyline in Vancouver is going to change dramatically over the next 5 years, especially in the West End and Cole Harbour. Now, one thing though, and I've had some clients ask me about this, so I wanted to address it. This is one that I got for three actually towers, new towers that are going in the West End at Harwood and Thurlow area. Now, this particular building here is going to be 32 stories, 33 stories tall. Very nice looking building, high-end luxury tower. It's going to contain 98 social housing units and 59 market residential units. The social housing will be on floors 2 to 18, and the market units will be on floors 18 to 33. So that's quite the mix. 100 social housing units and 59 market units. And those market units are going to be expensive. Starting on the 18th floor, most of them will be 2 bedrooms, some 3s. I can tell you those are going to be, they haven't announced the price sheets or anything on these. This is a ways away yet before they'll pre-sale. But I'll tell you right now that those units are going to be 1,500 a square foot and up. Now, my personal opinion on this, I am not a big fan of shelling out $1.8, $2.2, $2.5 million for a condo and having 100 social housing units living below me. Now, call me old-fashioned, but gee, I would tread carefully on these. I know that the social housing component they're going to be nice units, they're going to be new, they'll have their own separate lobby and entrance on the building, but I don't know. My personal opinion, I'll have to look into this more and see how more of these develop. But people have asked me about them, and I have to tell them, I'm not a big fan of it. I would much rather have the city build a 100% social housing building down the street and build a 150 unit, 45-story luxury tower beside it. Separate or blocks away from each other. But you see, what happens here is the developer is in cooperation with the city. The city will grant them the air rights and the density to build a 35-story tower. I can tell you that what's on that parcel of land right now that they're building these 2 towers on is 3-story wood frame. So they're going from 3 stories to 33 and 38 stories. So in exchange for giving you all that floor space, we want you to build 18 stories of social housing. So it's a good deal for the city. They get some social housing, and the developer's okay with it because we can increase our density 5-fold. But from a buyer's perspective, I think, be honest, I would rather buy especially if I'm buying a luxury unit, and that's what these are. These are going to be luxury condos. I think I would rather buy in a building that is 100% market as opposed to having a co-op or a social housing component. That's just my opinion. I'll probably do more blogs on this as these kind of develop and see how some of these go, because there are a number of these in the West End, and they're popping up all over the city, where it's a mixed market price on top, and social housing on bottom. So we'll see how these work out. Right now, I'm not a big fan. What I am a fan, though, I'm a huge fan of the locations on these. I mean, Harwood Street, prime. There's another one up on Alberta Street near Thurlow, totally prime. These are what I would call grade A locations, folks. Unlike what I've talked about before, where you've got it shoehorned in between the off-ramp and on-ramp of the Cambie Street Bridge at the north end, or at Main and 2nd Avenue in Mount Pleasant. Those are not good locations. Light industrial, traffic 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, trucks gearing down. What I am a big fan on some of these ones is the location. These are prime. They are redeveloping the West End. They're getting, the city is granting developers the ability to buy out some of these old rental buildings that are falling apart and building 30, 40-story luxury towers that will have a social housing component down. So the locations, this is what I would go for as far as location. This is what I mean by grade A. I would much rather, though, go into a unit with this mixed use in here in a grade A location than have something that's 100% market price that's sandwiched in between a bridge on an off-ramp. So we'll see where this goes. And I'll probably do some more blogs on this as some of these kind of come online and see how this mix and how this intermingling between social housing and multi-millionaires, which is what we're talking about here, multi-millionaires mixing with social housing, how this works and if it does work. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. If you haven't joined my YouTube channel yet, subscribe to it, please do. I'll see you next week.